Time member of the Baseball Writers Association of America and our own CBS Sports, Matt Snyder. Shohei Ohtani, the first two-time unanimous MVP in MLB history. Matt, what does Ohtani mean to the game?
It's hard to put it into words, really, right? Just an international superstar like this came from Japan, came over to America, completely took America by storm here. These last 3 years, he's been the best baseball player in the world, probably in the history of the world. Why? We don't even need the probably. He has been the best baseball player in the history of the world. We heard for years and years and years the lore about Babe Ruth being a pitcher and a hitter who was so good at both things. But his pitching career did not overlap with his hitting career as much as Ohtani's already has. And this is an integrated league, not a segregated league like when Babe Ruth played. So Ohtani is larger than life to the extent that Babe Ruth was, but he's doing it in a much tougher climate to be that much of a big-time athlete, in a climate where there's so much more attention on people because of the social media era, and even just because of having TV and being able to watch somebody all over the world. This is a once in a lifetime, maybe once in the history of a league type player. It's something to be living through this and watching it happen.
No question, the most talented player we've ever seen in MLB history, Shohei Ohtani. Dodgers are the favorites to sign him in free agency, followed by the Cubs, Giants, Yankees, and Mets. I want you to think outside the box here, Matt. What's the dream landing spot for Ohtani? Money nor location not a factor. What team would you put him on where it would be good for baseball?
Well, I think a lot of people would think that I'm going to say the Yankees. I'm not going to do that, although I think it would be good for baseball. I want to say the Cubs as the Cubs fan. I also think that would be great for baseball. But I'm going to go over to the West Coast, and I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners. I look at what just happened with the Rangers. They won their first World Series championship. That always means something to me. I think it's a big deal when a big fan base gets their first World Series championship. And the Mariners have the Pacific Northwest all to themselves. They just now became relevant with that playoff run last year. They missed the playoffs by just a game this year. They were in it until the last day of the season. They've got Julio Rodriguez there as a superstar already. You pair Julio Rodriguez with Shohei Ohtani. They've got a lot of young pitchers. They could deal from that young pitching staff after this year, maybe in front of the trade deadline this year, to shore up another area of their ball club. And I think he would be an absolute mega rock star in Seattle. Again, the entire Pacific Northwest would all rally around the Mariners. I think that would be great for the game, and I think a lot of people would tell me I'm an idiot for picking the Mariners.
No, I could if I don't say the Cleveland Guardians, but there's no way that's going to happen. Seattle makes sense. He's lived there in the offseason a couple of off seasons. He likes Seattle. You just mentioned the fact that they have a young pitching staff, so they don't need him next season. They can absorb not having him on the mound next season and still be successful with his bat in the lineup. To me, that sounds like a dream come true for the Mariners, because you're right. He could go join another superstar. He leaves Mike Trout, and you've got another superstar on the rise in Julio Rodriguez. I love that pick.
It's a big fan base with the potential to grow even bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, with that entire Pacific Northwest. I know a lot of people on the Canadian side of the border are Toronto Blue Jays fans because it's on the Canadian side, but man, Toronto's a long way away. If the Mariners became that huge, you'd see a lot of people in the Vancouver area rallying around the Seattle Mariners.
Just got to figure out the way to get the money to work out for Seattle. They can do that. This doesn't become a dream. It could become a reality. All right, you wrote a story on CBSSports.com posing the question, what if MLB had only one MVP award? I ask you that question. What if MLB only had one MVP award starting this year? Who's it going to?
I think Acuna would have won it. Now, it's really hard to figure this one out. I still think a lot of people look at the team performance. And if you look at last year, for example, where Aaron Judge beat Shohei Ohtani out, what do we say? It has to take a historic season in order to topple Ohtani being the two-way superstar. And Aaron Judge had the over 60 home run season, and he played for the Yankees, who won 99 games and went to the playoffs, and Judge beat Ohtani. I think this would have been a similar situation where you had the 40 home runs, 70 steals, first time we'd ever seen it in the history of baseball, and the Braves won 104 games. I think those would have been the separation points, and Acuna would have won. I think it would have been really close, because I think that there are a lot of people who would have said, look what Ohtani's doing both ways. Acuna doesn't provide that kind of two-way superstar. I mean, he doesn't pitch at all. And Ohtani's one of the best pitchers in the league when he's on the mound. We also have to factor in that Ohtani was hurt. If he would have gone the entire season, and let's say he made 30 starts, and let's say he hit 55 home runs and drove in 120, and on the mound he had a sub-3 ERA while he pitched the whole season, maybe now the team performance doesn't factor in as much. But with Ohtani capped at 135 games, Acuna doing what he did, again, history, first time anybody's ever done it, and the Braves being so much of a better team, I think Acuna would have won. But obviously I can't prove it. So you're free to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, it depends on how you define the award, right? Is it the best player in baseball?
Well, and that's the thing. I wasn't saying that's how I would vote.
Right.
I was trying to figure out how the voting body would have reacted.
Right. Because it's exactly that. Is it the best player in baseball, or is it the most valuable to his team? Because at the end of the day, Ronald Acuna Jr. landslide most valuable to his team. I mean, you're right. They didn't even make a run.
No, I think the best player is the player who's the most valuable to his team.
Okay.
So I would have said Ohtani. Because in baseball, I said so many times, this isn't like basketball where you can have one guy bring the ball up the floor and dominate the ball every single possession. You can have him guard the other team's best player. You can only bat once every 9 times. A pitcher in the rotation only pitches once every 5 days. There's only so much one player can do. And from that perspective, I think the most valuable player is just the best player. And it doesn't even matter what team he's on. That's why I think there's merit to voting for Ohtani every single year. But there are a lot of people who say, how valuable can he be if his team only won 73 games? And the people who say that would have voted for Acuna.
Yeah. I mean, you make a great case. I guess it would be pretty simple for me. Best player in baseball, Ohtani. Most valuable player to his team, Ronald Acuna Jr. You could also make the argument Corey Seager, Mookie Betts. So like, yeah, I like that. It's a good conversation.
I think there are more people. I still think there are more people on your side, and that's why I said I think Acuna would have won it this year.
Well, it's a fun debate to have, but in the end, on this night, it's a first time. The first time in Major League Baseball history, both the NL and AL MVPs are unanimous. Matt Snyder here on CBS Sports HQ. Thanks, Matt. And here's a look at the odds to win the World Series next season. Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves, the favorites at plus 600, but they were the favorites this season. And where'd that get them? They went home early. Dodgers went home early. Rangers won the whole thing. That would be fun if Shohei Ohtani ended up on the Rangers. I'm not like he changes teams in the AL West. It would be pretty fun to see that. I don't see how he fits in Philadelphia. I'm surprised that. I'm sort of surprised. To me, if he goes to the Mets, that would be some offseason, especially considering the year they had. That would be an incredible bounce back if the Mets were able to get Ohtani in free agency. Again, expected to sign the first $400 million contract in MLB history.